Picture this. You're sitting at your desk, checking your bank account, and your stomach drops. $200. That's all that's left until payday. And it's still a week away. But here's the thing that's driving you crazy. You didn't buy anything big this month. No new TV, no shopping spree, no expensive night out. So where did it all go? If this sounds familiar, you're not alone, and you're not bad with money. You're the victim of 3 invisible habits that are quietly bleeding your account dry every single month. The scary part, most people never figure out what's actually happening. But stick with me for the next 20 minutes, because I'm about to expose exactly how you're losing thousands of dollars a year without realizing it. And more importantly, how to stop it, starting today. The first habit is something I guarantee you're doing right now. And when I show you the numbers, you're going to feel physically sick. Ready? It's the subscription trap, but not in the way you think. Pop quiz. How much do you spend on subscriptions every month? Take a guess. Got a number in your head? Good. Now multiply it by 2.5. That's probably closer to the truth. Don't believe me? Researchers asked thousands of Americans this exact question. People said $86. When they actually checked the bank statements, it was $219. $133 every month that people completely forgot they were spending. That's $1,600 a year, vanishing into thin air. But here's where it gets absolutely wild, and this is the part that should terrify you. Right now, at this exact moment, you are paying for something you completely forgot exists. I'm not guessing. The statistics say more than half of all Americans are actively paying for at least one subscription they haven't used in over a month. Not reduced usage, zero usage. Ghost subscriptions haunting their bank accounts. Think about that gym membership you swore you'd use when you signed up in January. When's the last time you actually went? That meditation app that was supposed to change your life but you opened exactly twice? The premium version of some random app you can't even remember downloading? They're all still charging you. Every single month. Here's what makes this so dangerous. These companies have cracked the code on human psychology. They know something about your brain that you probably don't. Once you set something to auto-pay, it becomes invisible. It's not like handing someone a $20 bill where you feel the loss. It's not like writing a check where you see the number and think twice. It just silently drains from your account while you're sleeping, working, living your life, completely unaware. Let me paint you a picture of how bad this gets. You've got Netflix. Obviously, everyone has Netflix. But then you wanted to watch that one show on Hulu, so you got Hulu. Then Disney Plus dropped something you couldn't miss. HBO Max has that series everyone's talking about. Apple TV actually has some decent stuff now. Amazon Prime gives you free shipping. So that's essential, right? Oh, and Paramount Plus has all those old shows you loved as a kid. Don't forget Peacock. Before you know it, you're paying for 7 streaming services at $15 each. That's over $100 a month just to watch TV. And let's be honest, you're probably only actively watching 2 of them. But streaming is just the beginning. Spotify for music, cloud storage for all those photos on your phone, that language app that was going to make you fluent in Spanish but now just sends you guilt trip notifications, food delivery passes that promise free delivery, but somehow your orders still cost $40. Amazon Prime, which you justified because of shipping, but really you just wanted to watch The Boys. Each one seems harmless in isolation. It's just $10. It's just $15, but nobody has just one. You've got 5, 7, 10 of these things running in the background like apps you forgot to close, except they're draining your bank account instead of your battery. The companies building these services aren't stupid. They've done the research. They know that if they make the price low enough, you won't bother canceling. They know autopay means you'll forget it exists. They're literally banking on your forgetfulness. And it's working. Every month, millions of people pay for things they don't use, don't need, and don't remember. And the money just disappears into corporate bank accounts while you're eating ramen, wondering why you're broke. And here's the part that should make you angry. That $127 a year you're wasting? That's the average across everyone. But if you're someone who loves trying new things, who signs up for free trials and forgets to cancel, who thinks they'll eventually use that thing they're paying for, your number could be way higher. Some people are hemorrhaging $200-300 a month on this stuff. Now, if you think subscriptions are bad, wait until you hear about the second habit. This one is diabolical because it makes you think you're winning when you're actually losing. It's called lifestyle creep, and I promise you it's happening to you right now, even if you don't realize it. Imagine this scenario. You've been grinding at your job for 2 years. You're good at what you do. Your boss finally recognizes it and gives you a raise. $5,000 a year, maybe $10,000 if you're lucky. You're pumped. You've been waiting for this. Finally, some breathing room. Finally, you can relax a little and enjoy life. So what do? You upgrade your apartment. Not to anything crazy, just a nicer place in a better area. $200 more a month. But you can afford it now. You trade in your old car for something newer, more reliable. The payment is a bit higher. But hey, you're making more money. You start eating out more because you're tired of cooking after long days at work, and you deserve it. You get a membership at that nicer gym. You start buying better clothes because you need to look professional. You book that vacation you've been putting off. None of these decisions seem unreasonable in the moment. You're making more money, so obviously you can spend more money. That's how it works, right?
Wrong. Dead wrong. Here's what actually happened. That raise that was supposed to change everything, it's gone. Every single dollar of it is now locked into higher monthly expenses. Your rent is higher. Your car payment is higher. Your food budget is higher. Your lifestyle is higher. But your savings? Exactly the same as before. Maybe even worse, because you justified some credit card spending during the transition.
This is the trap that keeps 62% of Americans living paycheck to paycheck. Not minimum wage workers. Not people struggling to find jobs. People making $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 a year. People who should be comfortable. People who should have saving. People who should be building wealth. Instead, they're stuck on the same hamster wheel, running faster but never actually getting anywhere. More money comes in, more money goes out, and the gap between income and savings never changes. And here's what's really messed up about it. Things that used to be luxuries become necessities in your mind. Remember when getting coffee from a shop was a special treat? Now it's part of your daily routine. You can't imagine starting your day without it. That nicer apartment with the gym and the pool? You couldn't go back to a basic place now. That would feel like failing. The newer car with all the features? Your old car works fine, but it feels beneath you now. Premium subscriptions, regular restaurant visits, name brand everything. It all becomes your new normal. Your new baseline, and going back feels impossible. Social media takes this problem and puts it on steroids. You know how many Americans treat themselves with non-essential spending just because they're bored or celebrating something random? 42% do it every month. 21% do it every week. Why? Because they're scrolling through Instagram at midnight, seeing people in designer outfits, eating at fancy restaurants, taking perfect vacations, and they feel like they're missing out on life. They feel poor in comparison, even if they're doing fine. So they buy something to make themselves feel better, to feel like they're keeping up, to feel like they belong. Get this. 24% of Gen Z have admitted they felt pressured to showcase wealth on social media. They're buying things they legitimately cannot afford just to post a picture, just to get likes, just to maintain an image. They're going into debt for Instagram. Let that sink in. Debt for social media. For fake internet points that mean absolutely nothing. But here's the secret nobody talks about. Those people you're comparing yourself to, the ones who look like they have it all figured out, a lot of them are completely faking it. They're drowning. Financial advisors have told stories about sitting down with potential clients who show up in designer clothes, driving luxury cars, looking like they're worth millions. Then they pull up their accounts and there's nothing there. Sometimes worse than nothing. Deep credit card debt, car loans they can barely afford. A lifestyle built entirely on borrowed money and a prayer that they'll figure it out later. That friend who just posted from a 5-star resort in the Maldives? There's a decent chance they put the entire trip on a credit card and they're going to be paying it off for the next 2 years. That person with the brand new Mercedes, they might be eating ramen at home because the payment is destroying their budget. The image is carefully curated, the debt is very, very real, and you're over here feeling bad about yourself and spending money you don't have to keep up with people who are secretly broke. The most dangerous thing about lifestyle creep is how slowly it happens. You don't wake up one morning and decide to completely change your financial life. It happens incrementally. One small upgrade here, one little splurge there. Each decision seems harmless, but they add up over months and years until you're spending thousands more per month than you used to, and you can't even remember when it started or how it happened. It just did. And now, you're Alright, we've covered subscriptions that are bleeding you dry and lifestyle creep that's trapping you in place. But the third habit might actually be the worst, because it's so small that your brain doesn't even register it as spending. It's what happens when you death by 1,000 cuts yourself into being broke. Let me show you something that's gonna make you uncomfortable. You stop for coffee on the way to work. $5. It's just coffee. It's not a big deal. It's how you start your day. Except you do this every single workday. That's $25 a week. Over $100 a month. $1,300 a year. On coffee. Just coffee. Not meals. Not groceries. Not anything substantial. Coffee. But it doesn't stop there. You grab lunch out a few times a week because the office microwave is gross and you don't want to meal prep. $12 here, $15 there. You're hungry after work, so you hit a drive-thru. Another $8. You're scrolling your phone at night. You see something cool on Amazon for $20. You click buy without thinking. You order food delivery because you're tired and don't want to cook. $30 after fees and tip. You stop at a convenience store for snacks. $6. You buy a new phone case because yours has a scratch. $14. None of these purchases feel significant. They're all small. Forgettable. Your brain doesn't flag them as real spending. But let me show you the actual math. And I need you to really pay attention here, because this is where it gets absolutely insane. That $5 daily coffee? $1,300 a year, like we said. Now let's say you're also spending $50 a week on random food that isn't groceries. Fast food, takeout, convenience store runs. That's $2,600 a year. Add in impulse purchases from scrolling online. Let's say $50 a month. That's another $600. We're already at $4,500 a year on stuff you probably don't even remember buying. And if you smoke, let's not even get started. Half a pack a day seems reasonable to a lot of smokers. Depending on where you live, that's anywhere from $4 to $8 a day. Let's split the difference and say 6. That's $2,190 a year, literally going up in smoke. But the real cost is so much worse. If you took that $6 a day and invested it instead, over 40 years, you'd have somewhere between $200,000 and $600,000. That's not an exaggeration. That's actual compound interest over time. You're not just buying cigarettes. You're buying cigarettes instead of a house. Food delivery apps deserve their own special place in this conversation because they've absolutely destroyed people's budgets. You're tired, you've had a long day, you don't want to cook, you open DoorDash. $25 for something that would cost $8 if you made it yourself. But you're not just doing this once in a while as a treat, you're doing it 3-4 times a week because it's easy and you're exhausted. That's easily $100 a week. $400 a month. Almost $5,000 a year on overpriced food that shows up cold in a bag. $5,000 that could have been in your savings account. And don't even get me started on late-night Amazon binges. You can't sleep, you're scrolling your phone, you see something that looks cool, and you buy it without thinking. $15, $20. It's nothing, right? Except you're doing this multiple times a week. That's hundreds of dollars a month on stuff you don't need, didn't plan to buy, and will probably forget about by the time it arrives at your door. Here's why small purchases are so deadly. Your brain has a threshold for what counts as real spending. Dropping $500 on something, that registers. You think about it. You consider if you can afford it. You might even lose sleep over it. But $5, your brain dismisses it as meaningless. It's just $5. It's nothing. And technically, you're right. $5 is nothing. But $5 plus $5 plus $5 times 100 equals something. Something big. Something that can total hundreds per week, thousands per month, tens of thousands per year. And nobody tracks this stuff. When's the last time you sat down and added up every coffee, every snack, every impulse buy, every convenience purchase from an entire month? Never, right? Because it feels tedious and pointless. But if you actually did it, you'd be horrified. Most people are spending an extra $600 to $1,000 every month on things they don't need and won't remember buying. That's up to $12,000 a year evaporating into nothing. Think about what you could do with an extra $1,000 a month. You could max out your retirement account. You could have a fully funded emergency fund. You could pay off debt. You could invest it and watch it grow. You could actually save for something meaningful. But instead, it's going to coffee shops and delivery apps and random junk from Amazon that's going to sit in your closet unused for 6 months before you donate it. So now you know the 3 habits destroying your money. Subscription blindness, where you're paying for ghost services you forgot exist. Lifestyle creep, where every raise gets immediately absorbed by upgraded expenses. And small purchase deception, where dozens of tiny spending decisions add up to financial disaster. But knowing about the habits is only half the story. The real question is, what are these habits actually costing you beyond the money that disappears from your account every month? Because the damage goes way deeper than you think. Let's talk about the future you're losing. Every dollar you waste on an unused subscription, on lifestyle inflation you can't afford, on impulse purchases you don't need, that's a dollar that's not working for you. It's not in your emergency fund. It's not invested for retirement. It's not growing. It's just gone. And here's the thing that should terrify you. More than 25% of American adults have absolutely nothing saved for retirement. Zero. Not a little. Not even a few thousand. Nothing. They're going to hit 65 and have to keep working because they spent every dollar they ever made. And it's not because these people couldn't save. It's not because they didn't make enough money. It's because for decades, they kept telling themselves they'd start saving next month, after the next raise, when things settled down, when life got easier. But next month never came because the spending just kept increasing to match whatever they were earning. The gap between income and savings stayed at zero, no matter how much more they made. Let me give you a number that's going to haunt you. Remember that $1,600 a year you're losing to subscriptions you don't use and underestimated spending? If you took that money and invested it instead of wasting it, over 30 years with a 7% annual return, it would grow to almost $150,000. Read that again, $150,000. From money you're currently throwing away without even noticing. That's not theoretical. That's compound interest, doing what compound interest does. Now add in the thousands you're bleeding to lifestyle creep and small purchases, and we're talking about potentially $500,000 or more over your working life. That's your retirement. That's your security. That's your freedom. And you're trading it for Netflix subscriptions you don't watch and coffee you don't remember drinking. But it's not just about the distant future. It's about right now, today. When you spend every dollar that comes in, you're one bad day away from disaster. Car breaks down? That's a problem. Medical emergency? You're in trouble. Lose your job? You're in immediate crisis. Because you have no cushion, no safety net, no backup plan. You're completely exposed. And then what happens? You pull out the credit card. Because what choice do you have? And now you're not just broke, you're in debt. Credit card debt at 18, 20, 25% interest. And that debt grows faster than you can pay it down, because the interest is destroying you. What started as a temporary emergency becomes a permanent trap that takes years to escape. Now here's the question you should be asking. If these habits are so destructive, if they're costing people hundreds of thousands of dollars over a lifetime, why do they keep happening? Why can't people just stop? Because it's not about willpower. It's not about being lazy or stupid. It's about psychology. These habits stick because they're exploiting weaknesses in how your brain works. And unless you understand the mechanics, you're going to keep falling for it. First up, emotional spending triggers. People don't buy things just because they need them. That would be too simple. They buy things because of how they feel. You're celebrating something, even something small like making it through a rough week, and your brain says you deserve a reward. 32% of non-essential spending happens because of celebration. You got through Monday. Treat yourself. You finished that project. Treat yourself. It's Friday. Treat yourself. The celebration becomes an excuse, and the spending becomes automatic. Then there's boredom. 25% of spending is triggered by straight-up boredom. You're sitting on your couch with nothing to do, scrolling through your phone, And suddenly, you're shopping. Not because you need anything. Not because you even want anything specific. Just because you're bored and shopping gives your brain something to do. It's entertainment that costs money, and you're doing it without even realizing it. Stress is another massive trigger. 20% of people spend money when they're stressed. Bad day at work? Buy something. Fight with your partner? Buy something. Bills piling up and you're anxious about money? Ironically, you buy something to feel better, which makes the money problem worse, which causes more stress, which leads to more spending. It's a vicious cycle that feeds itself. The auto-pay system amplifies all of this by removing the pain of spending. When you hand someone a $20 bill, you feel it. You physically see the money leave your hand. Your brain registers loss. But when it's auto-pay, when the money just quietly leaves your account while you're sleeping, there's no pain. There's no moment of decision. There's no hesitation. It's completely frictionless, which is exactly how these companies designed it. They studied human psychology and figured out that if they could make paying invisible, people would spend more and cancel less. And they were absolutely right. The lack of a budget makes everything exponentially worse. Most people have no idea where their money actually goes. They know the big stuff: rent, car payment, insurance. But everything else is just a black hole. They couldn't tell you how much they spent on food last month. They couldn't tell you how much went to entertainment or random purchases. They're just guessing and hoping they'll have enough left over at the end of the month. And here's the crazy part. Even the people who try to budget struggle. 84% of people who actually make budgets admit they regularly break them. So even the ones who are trying to be responsible are losing the battle. And then there's the fundamental problem with how human brains work. Instant gratification versus delayed rewards. Saving money is abstract. Retirement is 30 years away. An emergency fund is boring. It doesn't give you anything right now. But that new thing you're looking at on your phone, that feels good immediately. That coffee, that meal, that purchase, they deliver satisfaction right now, today, this second. Your brain is wired to prefer immediate rewards over delayed ones even when the delayed reward is objectively better. It's not a character flaw, it's biology, and companies exploit this every single day. But here's where this video shifts. Because everything I just told you sounds hopeless, right? Like you're fighting against psychology, corporations, and your own brain, and you're destined to lose. But that's not true. Once you know these habits exist, once you understand how they work, you can break them. It's not easy, and it won't happen overnight, but it's absolutely possible, and the changes you need to make aren't as extreme as you think. Let's start with the easiest win you can get right now. Today, this minute, your subscriptions. Stop watching this video. If you need to, pull out your phone and go through every single subscription you have. I'm serious. Do it now or do it the second this video ends. But do it today. Go through your bank statements from the last 3 months. Look at every recurring charge. Write them all down. Every streaming service, every app, every membership, every single thing that charges you automatically. Now, here's what you do. For each one, ask yourself one brutally honest question. Did I actually use this in the last 30 days? Not do I think I might use it eventually. Not is it nice to have just in case. Did you actually genuinely use it? If the answer is no, cancel it right now. Don't tell yourself you'll do it later. Don't convince yourself you might need it next month. Cancel it immediately. The money you save starts today. For the subscriptions you do use, here's the next level. Do you actually need all of them? Do you really need 4 streaming services when you're only actively watching shows on 2? Pick your top 2 favorites and cancel the rest. And here's a pro move. Rotate them. Watch everything you want on Netflix for 3 months. Then cancel it and subscribe to something else. Binge that content for a few months. Cancel, move to the next one. You don't need to be subscribed to everything simultaneously. That's what they want you to think. But it's not true. Next up, fighting lifestyle creep. This one's harder because it requires rewiring how you think about money. The next time you get a raise, and I don't care if it's next month or next year, here's what you do. You pretend it didn't happen. I know that sounds insane. You worked hard for that raise. You earned it. You deserve to enjoy it. But hear me out. Keep living on your current budget. Don't upgrade anything. Don't increase your spending at all. Take every dollar of that raise and immediately funnel it into savings or investments. Set up an automatic transfer so the money moves before you ever see it in your checking account. If you never see it, you can't spend it. And here's what happens. Your lifestyle stays the same, which means it's still sustainable. But your savings start growing at a rate you've never experienced before. I know what you're thinking. What's the point of making more money if you don't get to enjoy it? And that's a fair question. But here's the thing. You can enjoy it. Just not right now. Delayed gratification is how wealth is built. That raise you're saving today becomes the emergency fund that saves you when your car breaks down. It becomes the down payment on a house. It becomes the retirement account that lets you stop working at 60 instead of 75. You're not sacrificing enjoyment. You're trading small, forgettable pleasures today for massive life-changing benefits in the future. Now let's talk about stopping the small purchase bleeding. This is where the 48-hour rule comes in, and it's stupidly simple but incredibly effective. Anytime you want to buy something non-essential over 25 or 50 bucks, you wait 48 hours before purchasing. That's it. That's the whole rule. See something you want? Great. Add it to your cart if you need to. But don't check out. Wait 2 days. If you still want it after 48 hours, if you've thought about it and you can afford it without using a credit card or dipping into savings, then buy it. But here's what actually happens most of the time. That urge passes. You realize you don't actually need it. You forget about it completely. And you just saved yourself money without any real sacrifice. Here's the next thing you need to do. And I'm warning you. This is going to be uncomfortable. Track every single dollar you spend for 1 full month. And I mean everything. That coffee? Write it down. Those snacks from the gas station? Write them down. The delivery food, the impulse purchases, the convenience store runs. All of it. Use an app, use a spreadsheet, use a physical notebook. I don't care. Just track every single transaction for 30 days. This is going to hurt. You're going to see numbers that make you physically sick. You're going to realize you spent $300 on food delivery, $150 on random stuff from Amazon you didn't need, $80 on coffee you barely remember drinking. But that pain is good. That discomfort is necessary. Because right now, your spending is invisible. It's abstract. Your brain doesn't process it as real. But when you see it written down, when you add it all up at the end of the month and realize you spent $1,000 on absolute garbage, it becomes real. It becomes undeniable. And that awareness will change your behavior more than any budget or rule ever could. Once you've tracked for a month and you know where the money is actually going, you can start making intentional changes. Maybe you realize you're spending $200 a month on delivery food. Okay, cut that in half. Commit to cooking at home more. Meal prep on Sunday. That's $100 a month back in your pocket. $1,200 a year. Maybe you see your impulse buying constantly on Amazon. Delete the app from your phone. Make it harder to buy things. Add friction to the process. You're not depriving yourself. You're just making yourself think before you spend. Now here's the most important thing. And if you take nothing else from this video, take this. Automate your savings before you automate anything else. Most people have every subscription on autopay, but do their savings manually. That's completely backward. You need to flip that script. The day after you get paid, have money automatically transfer from your checking account to your savings. Set it up once and forget about it. Pay yourself first. Start with whatever you can afford. Even if it's just $50 a paycheck, the specific amount doesn't matter nearly as much as building the habit. Once that transfer is automatic, once it happens without you thinking about it, you'll adjust your spending around what's left. You'll figure it out, you'll make it work, and you won't even miss that money because you never saw it in your checking account in the first place. But over months and years, that savings will grow into something real, something substantial, something that actually matters. Create specific financial goals to fight the urge to spend mindlessly. Here's the thing about vague goals. Your brain doesn't care about them. Saying you want to save money is useless. It's too abstract. There's no target. There's no finish line. But saying you want $5,000 in an emergency fund by the end of the year, that's specific, that's measurable. That's something you can work toward and track. Maybe you're saving for a down payment on a house. Maybe you want to pay off your credit cards. Maybe you're building a fund to take a real vacation without going into debt. Whatever it is, make it concrete. Write it down. Put a number on it. Give yourself a deadline. And remind yourself of that goal every single time you're tempted to buy something you don't need. Is this purchase getting you closer to your goal or further away? That question alone will save you thousands. Use technology to keep yourself accountable. There are dozens of budgeting apps that will track your spending automatically, categorize everything, and show you exactly where you're over budget. Some will send you alerts when you're spending too much in a certain category. Some will round up your purchases and save the difference. Some will analyze your spending patterns and tell you where you can cut back. Find one that works for you and actually use it. It's like having a financial advisor in your pocket, constantly keeping you honest and on track. And look, I want to be real with you about something. This isn't going to be easy. Breaking these habits takes work. It takes awareness. It takes discipline. You're going to slip up. You're going to have months where you spend more than you planned. You're going to buy things you regret. That's normal. That's part of the process. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is progress. It's about being better this month than you were last month. It's about making more intentional decisions, instead of letting money just disappear without thinking about it. So let me bring this all together. You now know the 3 habits that are quietly destroying your finances every single month. Subscription blindness, where you're hemorrhaging money on services you forgot about or never use. Lifestyle creep, where you spend every raise you get and trap yourself at the same financial level forever, despite making more money. And small purchase deception, where dozens of tiny spending decisions add up to thousands of dollars you didn't realize you were throwing away. These 3 habits are costing you hundreds of dollars every single month, potentially thousands. Over your lifetime, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars that could have been your retirement, your emergency fund, your financial freedom, but instead just evaporated into nothing. They're keeping you from building any real wealth. They're keeping you trapped in the paycheck-to-paycheck cycle even when you make decent money. They're leaving you vulnerable to any financial emergency that comes your way. And they're doing all of this invisibly, quietly, without you even realizing it's happening. These habits stick because they exploit how your brain works. They trigger emotional responses. They remove the pain of spending through autopay. They operate below your awareness threshold. They prioritize instant gratification over delayed rewards. They're designed by smart people who studied psychology and figured out exactly how to separate you from your money without you noticing. You're not weak for falling for it. You're human. We all are. But now you know how it works. And knowledge is power. You can break these habits starting today. Cancel those unused subscriptions right now. Commit to pretending your next raise didn't happen and funnel it straight into savings. Implement the 48-hour rule for non-essential purchases. Track every dollar you spend for a month and confront the brutal reality of where your money goes. Automate your savings so you pay yourself first. Create specific financial goals that give you something concrete to work toward. Use apps and tools to keep yourself accountable. These aren't complicated strategies. They're not extreme. They're simple, practical changes that will transform your financial life if you actually do them. Because here's what nobody tells you about money. Financial freedom isn't about making more. Most people who make 6 figures are just as broke as people making 40,000 because they spend everything that comes in. It's not about how much you earn. It's about how much you keep. It's about being intentional with every dollar instead of letting it slip through your fingers without thinking. It's about making conscious decisions instead of running on autopilot. It's about choosing your future over instant gratification. And it starts right now. Not next month. Not after your next raise. Not when life gets less busy. Right now, today, this minute, pull out your phone and cancel one subscription you don't use. Just one. That's your first step. That's how change starts. Not with some massive transformation. Not with a complete financial overhaul. With one small decision that leads to another small decision that leads to another until suddenly you're in control of your money, instead of your money controlling you. Your future self is watching you right now. The version of you that exists 10, 20, 30 years from now. That person is hoping you make the right choice today. They're hoping you'll stop letting these habits drain your potential. They're hoping you'll fight for the financial security they desperately want. Don't let them down. Take back control. Stop the bleeding. Build something real. Your financial future is literally in your hands right now. And what you do in the next 24 hours could change everything. Make it count. If you want more videos like that, subscribe to the channel to not miss any other videos. Thanks for watching.